Alright, before we get into part 2 of this video, I'm going to give myself my plug. And you're all familiar with the ball caps, Turn Right Machine Works ball caps. This is one black one that I have sitting around. The black on the inventory is out. Black and charcoal, the same color. From now on, they will be just listed black. There's 50 of them on the way, and the inventory will come back up whenever they come in. Probably expect those next week. Alright, now everybody that personally emailed in an order for the new shirts, they have come in. This is the short sleeves. Alright, and I'm going to go ahead and give you a close-up of that. It's the embroidered logo, and then over the other pocket. Alright, Dickies work shirt, very comfortable. Okay, these are on the blog site now. The blog site has been redone, and also I am creating a page for every entry on the giveaway toolbox project. Alright, and I'm just going to throw this off to the side so I'm not eating up some time. Alright, here's a sneak preview, and these are going to be coming in next week, and I will show these again on the next In Your Box giveaway video. Alright, there's enough plugging. Alright, let's get on with the movie. Welcome to Turn Right Machine Works. My name is Keith, and we've just completed these two hubs here, doing a key modification and a bore job on them, and this is what they look like. Alright, I'm going to catch you up to speed here. We're getting ready to take this one out of the lathe there. We just finished skimming the bore on here because we realized, and we talked to the customer, and his axles are 2" and 5/16, and this was originally bored for 2 1/4 inch. So it's basically a 16th, or 62 thousandths needed to be removed so that we'd have the proper fit. Now in doing this gives me the height of the key and be able to make the step key for this. While I was sticking the scale in here, I realized that the bore of this, let me see if I can get that right there, the bore of this has actually got a lead angle or a taper, an angle on each side of the key, like a spline. Okay, you can see that it's not straight up and down with the key. Alright, so we have a lead angle on each side of this key, and both keys are identical, top and bottom. And the old style keys were done that way, and this was done with a wheel cutter, because you can see the hobbing or the individual tooth that comes along and cuts each pass that it came by and grabbed the material to remove it. Alright, so we're pulling this out, and we have two shims in between here that hold a clearance so that there's a positive clamping on the U-bolt and clamps. We're going to go ahead and mount up the next one here and get ready to bore it. Alright, we're going ahead, before we bore this one out, we marked the other one after we bored it out, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to put a B here, and the other one we did A. We'll put a B there and a B here, so that we're match marking the way that we bored these two pieces here. Alright, put that back. Alright, now you have to kind of slip this in and slip this through, but we need to also put two of these spacers on here. Now we cut these out on a plasma cutter. Nothing real fancy about it. Alright, now we go ahead and we mount this up. Slide these on here loose. And then we're going to go put it in a vise so that we can physically line up this cap. So we got minimum material to go ahead and bore out of this thing. Alright, now we have a little slug here that kind of eyeballs it, and we can put this in both sides and look through and see the light, and then we can tap it side to side until we get it. Now we're going to go ahead and create a little bit of snugness here. Looks like a slight bit this way on the top. Okay, that looks good. And I hold it up to this side here. Look at the light this way. Same thing. Okay, by eye, we're happy with the alignment of this piece. Now we can go put this in the 3-jaw, and we're grabbing the register around here, and we can bore out this diameter to the right size. Pretty true. Okay, here's looking at this thing running. Now, the register back here in the face is the important part that should be true. Now, we went ahead and we spun it, and we came in here, and we're going to touch it, and we already did here, so we can verify that what we have here. And let me get it neutral so I can roll it. Alright, it's barely skimming on here. This is the top half here. Alright, just like the other one there, we were a little bit here. We shimmed this at 3/16. It was somewhere between 3/16 and 1/4 inch. That was the total amount of clearance that we put in here, with a piece of 2 1/4 in here. And it's a rough casting, and it's kind of hard to decipher it, so we went ahead and we're picking a mean spacer diameter of our own, which is 3/16, which will be well enough space for this thing to clamp tight. Alright, so it is going to be hitting the top before it starts cleaning up here on this edge. Once we get to this edge right here, it's going to be 1/16. So right now we've probably got 80 total to take out of this thing, which is about double what it really needed to have opened up on a cylindrical diameter if we were just going from 1 1/4 to 1 5/16. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and go with our first pass through here. And we're going to take 20 thousandths here per side. This just happened by chance, but we went ahead and we measured this diameter here, and we're at 2 inches 250, which is 2 1/4, and we're just starting to skip the paint on the main body of the hub. So we are in fact holding it real true, and those scores or those lines go all the way down through there. So we just got the 1/16 of an inch to take it from here, and we're ready to go. Now we're not going to try and take it all in one cut. We're going 10,000ths at a time here. We've taken several passes across to get the mean height or thickness of our keyway here in the Bridgeport on both pieces. Here's our other piece here. Now we're going to go, and because we have tapered leading edge plus the width change is different for the shaft. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to set these up in the K&T and cock the head over 10 degrees and come in and get equal width on each side to get it to fit the shaft over here. Alright, we're pretty well set up here. We got our key stock clamped down in here, and we have our mount sticking up here, so we're in the safe mode there. We have taken the chunk that was cut off that we're actually duplicating. This is an actual sample of the shaft that those hubs are going to mount to. And it has two keyways or splines. And I think they're more of a spline because they are actually tapered on each side. And we've taken our bevel protractor and we've held this up to the light in several different spots, both sides and both sides of the shaft itself. And we come up with 10 degrees. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to take our head and we're going to loosen this up, and we're going to go ahead and pivot it 10 degrees. And it's got a pretty nice veneer. We're not going to get any closer than eyeballing it right on the money on that line there. And we're happy with that. It looks pretty extreme, huh? And this depth, we've also checked this depth. This is only 3/16 of an inch on the depth here. Alright, so, you know, that's actually what we're going to do is we're going to put the 1/2 inch 4 fluid end mill in here. And we're going to come over to the part there, and we're going to barely touch on the top. And then we're going to come over past it. We're going to drop down a 3/16 of an inch in. And we're going to touch the edge here. And then we're going to take that width, subtract the width of the bottom down in there, divide that in half. And that's how much we're going to come over and feed, and we're going to make a cut. The bottom edge of this is actually going to create an opposite angle, which should, by eyeball when I put it in there, looking like it's going to be pretty well reverse wrap around the outside of this shaft here. And we're going to try that before we actually try to make any more relief than possible. If we can leave the material in there, I want to leave the material in there, because now instead of driving it with 2 keys on it like the original hubs are, we're only going to be driving it with 1 key. And I want to have that key making as much wrap as possible on that shaft. Alright, just double checking our math here, and we're going to touch up on the top. We're going to come over, we're going to go down our depth, and then we're going to touch the angle on the side, and then we're going to come in probably 130. We're going to stay just a little shy. We're going to come in, we're going to cut straight down the side. We're going to rotate the key around and come down and cut the next side. So we're going to try to come up with a dimension to where we can flip-flop the key instead of moving our head and table and angle. going to go down, what we say, 3/16, 175, 1875. Somewhere in that ballpark. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to touch the side here. Alright, we set 0 there. Now we're going to come in 133. Just play it safe, we're going 125 first. Go. That looks good as far as that angle, that depth looks pretty good, the equal amount. Alright, we're going to go down this other side here. Make the same thing, and then we'll have a uniform part that we can probably start fitting in here. We kept a little bit of shy on our width there, so it may be a little tight. We're going to take it out. We're going to roll these edges, these sharp edges over, and because it's darn close to bottoming out right there, and I think that's a sharp edge, and there's a slight radius down in here. Turn around and look at it, you can see that it's almost a perfect fit. I'm glad we stayed back. I stayed back about 3 thousandths aside from what I set it up with the dimensions. We're doing great. We're going to throw in the next one. We're going to completely clean out our bites here, just make sure we're not sitting up on any chips here. Blow these all out. And we'll get this one cut, and we'll go deburr that one on the Wilton. pulled this one out. We went in and sanded it just like the other one. Now you can see that is seating right down in there. Has a slide, no rocking back and forth. It's pretty tight in there. And the angle's got plenty of clearance on the side of that key right there. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut the other one exactly the same as this one here. And then we got to go over and we're going to slip them into the hub. And I believe there's the keyway in the hubs weren't put in a straight line. So we're going to have to make sure that we have clearance on one side here. We may have to take a slight angle cut on these. We left more material in here to compensate for the fat side. And now that we're happy and content with getting this angled keyway made, the right depth, angle contact looks good on both sides. Actually, I didn't even take my Sharpie here and kind of just give it a coat here. Both sides, we'll check it out. Our sides is like right on the money, and the other side kind of just leaves it might have a little burr in here. I mean, this is a rusty groove right here, but that's pretty darn close to be able to do that. Wipe the Sharpie right off of there. Alright, we've laid the key inside here, and we can see the air gap or light underneath the shaft at this point right here. This is the shallow side here. The other side has got more of a gap, and this is the same on both of these hubs here. So what we're doing is we're taking 15 thousandths off this top side here, and then we're going to be able to put the hub right down in there, and we're going to try to see if we just barely sliding in there. It's going to give us a dimension to start with, because we know that it's pretty close to being about the width. Without the slug in there, we're taking about the thickness of our scale. It's sticking up above that bore, so we know that that's how we're derived from the 15 thousandths we're taking off of here right now. All right, we've measured the difference of height from that side to this side on both of the hubs here, and this one here is about 20, and this one here is a little bit shy of 30, like 28 or so. We went ahead and both of our keys right now are the same height, and it's the minimum height that I feel comfortable in both of these hubs. So our first one here, we're gonna mill this one here, and then we're gonna test it in the both of them, and we're gonna see if it's acceptable in both of them, or if we're gonna have a little bit too much play, and we're gonna or too tight on this one here, and have to take the extra 10 on the angle. I have the parallel set under here, and this end here I held at 0, and what I did is I brought this over to this side here. I use this kind of like a height gauge as well, so I got 0 there on the dial, and over here I've got 20 thousandths right here. And what I did is I just kind of like, hey, it was at 0, and I loosened up the vise and I rose it up with my fingers there till I got that 20 in there. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and we're just going to crank it down tight there. And we're happy with that amount of difference from end to end. So we're basically going to touch this 0, or our 0 is on our dial, and we're going to go and make our cut and come back, and it should mill the 20 thousandths taper in there, and then we're going to test that key in that hub. Bring it over, make sure our 0 and touching 0 pretty close to the same there. Yep, and it looks good. going to lock it there. Alright, we're cutting the second one there. We have the key in here and it lacks a little bit of sliding all the way in there, so we are taking a little bit more steeper angle on this one here, because we backed this up and we got some play on, we can feel the play on this end here, and it's a little tighter over there. So we're cutting that one at a 27 or 28 thousandths difference between end to end, and this key here fits fine set up exactly like it is in the other hub there, and when you finally put a little bit of pressure on here, it actually holds the key from moving. So I think we're right on the borderline of having a good tight keyway. Well, I hope that kind of gives you an idea how we had to handle this job and create a little different scenario than just making a step key. The more we got into it, the more we found that we had to change the shape and the contact, and also the bore. Because the bore of these hubs was not even matching the axle itself, and I was glad that he had a sample of that axle and brought it down here. You know, I'm pretty sure that we've got a nice tight fit, because this old gear here is not a squat to pee piece of equipment. It is substantially high torque, low RPM piece of equipment, and you can't have this hub failing. And so I hope that what I did enables them to run these, but also handles what he puts to it for punishment. Alright, get her done.